Now, it's my pleasure to welcome back Mr. Gregory Kutz. He is the Managing Director of Forensic Audits and Special Investigation at GAO. The FSI unit investigates waste, fraud, and abuse related to government programs and taxpayers' dollars. FSI has investigated abuses of Hurricane Katrina relief, dollars, border security, and overtime and minimum wage complaints, among other topics. Welcome.
Madam Chairwoman, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to discuss the Hub Zone program. Today's testimony highlights the results of our most recent investigation. My testimony has two parts. First, I will discuss the results of our undercover testing, and second, I will discuss the actions SBA has taken against the 29 firms identified in our past investigations. First, the Hub Zone program remains vulnerable to fraud and abuse. Specifically, SBA's validation controls failed, as 3 of our 4 bogus firms were certified. As you know, to qualify for this program, a firm's principal office must be located in a Hub Zone. Our past investigations showed that fraud and abuse related to the principal office were a significant problem. The monitor shows a picture of the address of our first bogus company, Crockett and Associates. You may recognize the site of our principal office. This is the Alamo in San Antonio. Madam Chairwoman, we thought that SBA would catch this one. In fact, at your hearing in June of 2008 on Hub Zone, SBA represented that they were going to be using Internet searches to validate the principal office. The next picture on the monitor shows what a Google search using the address from our bogus company shows. These links lead you to the next picture on the monitor, which, as you can see again, is the Alamo. It took us 7 months in the submission of numerous counterfeit documents to be certified for this bogus company. However, these pictures clearly show that a 1 or 2 minute Internet search would have at least raised suspicions about the validity of this application. For our second application, we used the address of a rental storage unit in Florida as our principal office. The certification of this company took about 14 months. For our third application, we used a city hall in Texas as our principal office. The certification of this firm took 7 months. We decided to abandon our fourth application, but only after SBA lost the documentation that we submitted several times. Moving on to my second point, SBA has taken action on some of the 29 firms identified in our first 2 investigations. As the administrator said, 16 were decertified, 8 voluntarily withdrew from the program, and 5 were determined to be in compliance with the program. For those 5, we continued to believe at the time we looked at them that they were not in compliance. Since our March 2009 report, 17 of these firms have received $66 million of new government contracts. Of the 29 companies before yesterday, and I understand there's been more suspensions, only 1 was currently suspended and proposed for debarment. Which brings me to the importance, again, of the consequences for fraud and abuse. And I'm going to use case study number 2 from our current report to make that point. In my June 2008 testimony, we determined that this construction firm fraudulently received $4 million of Hub Zone contracts. Madam Chairwoman, this firm also fraudulently received $48 million of 8A set-aside contracts. Because this firm was not suspended or debarred in 2008, they received $10 million of new stimulus contracts. We understand that in March of this year, this firm was suspended and proposed for debarment. In addition, the SBAIG has taken some of the 29 cases to U.S. attorneys. We understand that in certain instances, U.S. attorneys are declining these cases because they believe there is no loss to the government. We believe when a firm fraudulently receives one of these contracts, that the entire amount of that contract is fraud. And the victims are not only the taxpayers, but the legitimate Hub Zone firms. In conclusion, our work continues to show that SBA is not very good at fraud prevention and enforcement. We understand it's very difficult to be an advocate for small business and at the same time to be the enforcer. However, to be an effective advocate, you need to have an effective fraud prevention system and make examples of the bad actors. I believe that fraud and abuse in small business programs such as Hub Zone, 8A, and service-disabled veteran contracting is widespread. I encourage this committee to continue making oversight of program integrity a priority. Madam Chairwoman, that ends my statement, and I look forward to your questions.